5, 4, 3. Hi, everybody. Dugroz here with Dugroz Reports. Welcome to my Saturday morning live stream. Today is Saturday, January the 17th, 2026, and I'm reporting live from my house. Good to see each and every one of you on board this morning. Let's see who is on board. Nick is on board, says, I'm just here to celebrate dancing until this starts. I asked for a few extra minutes, and Nick says 3 to 4 minutes of dancing it is. All right, DEM is on board. Nuracan says, good morning, needing your math for Bilt. You know, I gave a little bit of a disclaimer. I know everybody wants to know all about Bilt. I haven't had time to break down Bilt yet. I am so sorry. That is coming. I will. I haven't yet. There will be just a little tiny bit sprinkled in here today. And if you're wondering what the theme of the day today is, it's the kitchen sink episode. Have you heard that saying, like, they threw everything at me, even the kitchen sink? Well, this is just a little bit of everything. I didn't come up with anything all that impressive, so we're just talking about a little bit of everything. It's just whatever's on my mind, random data points I've been saving, combined with my normal data points. So we'll have a lot of fun this morning, but there is no particular theme of the day here. DEM thinks it could be helpful. AS1234 says, so excited to join the live today. Sitting in dealership waiting for my car to get serviced. We need some Bilt commentary, please. DEM says he hasn't figured out the strategery yet. That's right. I've not yet. I apologize. Yuri says it all depends on the usability of Bilt Cash. DEM, data on emissions on board. And Juan Garcia is here. Good morning, Doug and everyone. Thank you. DM says, I think I keep City for dining and groceries and move the rest here. I assume you mean Bilt, since I'm getting 5 to 6x dining and 3 to 5 groceries with City. Okay, not a terrible idea. And Walmart, I can play the GC Walgreens game for an effective 4.4 with the Palladium. Same for Amazon. I gotcha. Yuri agrees City has great cards. Nuracan did get the Palladium. I'll give it a test run for the first year and go from there. Yeah, obviously, you know, anything with a 50,000 point sign-up bonus is almost certainly going to be worth it in year one, especially Bilt with their relatively valuable transfer partners. I was really short on time this morning, so I did not post a link to this live stream on Discord. So if somebody would do me a solid, go over to both the Venture Discord as well as the Stack Your Points Discord and post a link there. I would really appreciate it. Nick says he's here. Happy Bilt 3.0 weekend. Yeah, they keep calling it 2.0, but really this is the third issuer. Rob Knopper Studio says good morning. Good to see you, Rob. And Yuri says Bilt 1000.0. John is here. John's Credit and Travel says kitchen sink live. Dish detergent of choice. Walmart generic. But John also drops a $2 super chat. That's one way you can support the channel. Celebrate. Thank you, John. I appreciate your patronage. AZ Fox, I heard Bilt 3.0 was announced by the CEO via email yesterday. We'll get into that in a little bit. Dem likes Dove. One Kevin P said, I got the Palladium, also really hoping to use the Bilt Cash, and it'll be useful for travel. I have zero intention of using it for rent or mortgage. Ian is here. How you doing? Ian says Bilt 3.0 is the best. Fargonaut's on board. Ian says, let's wait for Bilt version 100. Nick said, I began the week hating Bilt, but with this new way they came out with, I don't completely hate it. I don't absolutely love it, but worth a year test drive plus a sub. Got approved for the Palladium. All right. We got a truckload of people commenting on Bilt, which I was thinking I can strategically avoid that, right? And just talk about other stuff. Nope, apparently I can't avoid it. So I should probably just dive right into that part. We'll dive into Dugroz data points here. That's how I start every Saturday morning. I'm going around the horn in the world of cashback, points, miles, credit card rewards, etc., etc. This is anything that kind of strikes my fancy in that world, and I'll go out of order and dive right into the Bilt stuff. So did you know the new Bilt cards were announced on Wednesday? And then yesterday, as if that weren't enough, sharing my screen. Bear with me, folks, sharing my screen here. In addition to that, yesterday, Bilt announced changes, a new rent/mortgage option in response to Bilt 2.0. So I think if I were to, got a cough. If I were to summarize it, Bilt launched on Wednesday with their new cards, and then people were like, oh, this is so complicated. It's hard to understand. So they're like, crap, we got to do something. Let's come up with a more simple option. And they did announce a more simple option. So what was that? I took this from the Bilt website. Hopefully we can see it. It's very, very small print, but the 3 cards, this isn't the change. This is just reviewing here. We've got the Bilt Blue card, which is a no annual fee card, and it basically just gets 1x Bilt point everywhere. We're going to ignore the Bilt Cash for now. Bilt Obsidian for dining or grocery maximizers gets 3x points on dining or grocery, 2x on travel, 1x on everything else, including rent and mortgage. And then the Bilt Palladium card, our most generous and rewarding card, gets 2x on everything except for rent and mortgage, which is 1x. And that big one has a $495 annual fee. The middle one has a $95 annual fee. Okay, we all knew that. So what changed? Well, basically they said this whole thing with Bilt Cash and using that to pay your mortgage is way too complicated. So now we're going to have 2 options. Option 2 is what we already talked about, the super complicated Bilt Cash way. But we're going to have this new option 1, which is what probably 90% of people are going to choose. Option 1, a simple fee-free way to earn rewards on housing. Pay your full rent or mortgage every month with no transaction fee. Earn points on housing automatically in lieu of earning Bilt Cash. While everyday spend will not earn Bilt Cash, you will still get your annual or welcome Bilt Cash with the card. The more you use your card for everyday spend, the higher your points multiplier. All right, let's look down here. So how much you spend on everyday categories in a month will impact how much earning your rent or mortgage payment gets. If you spend an amount equal to 50%, if you spend at least 25% of your monthly rent, and it's really rent or mortgage, but they say rent, then you get 5x on your housing payments. Sorry, got to blow my nose again. Thanks for your patience. If you spend at least 50% of your monthly rent, and their example is a $2,000 mortgage, so $1,000, then you get 0.75. If you spend at least 75%, you get 1x, an equal amount. If you spend the same or more, then you get 1.25x. Now, obviously, this is a way that they simplified it while also keeping the ability to earn 3 things together. It's a triforce of information. A way to make it so you can still pay rent fee-free. 2 is simplicity, so people would understand it. And 3 is so that they can make a profit, because obviously the problem they had in the past was the people who went out and bought 4 bananas or something like that using their Bilt card just to qualify for rent. Now, here is another screen displaying the exact same information, hat tip to Doctor of Credit, that I will reference. The reason I was 4 or 5 minutes late starting the live stream, I was making this spreadsheet and I didn't get done. So we're gonna learn it together. How about that? So I started making this spreadsheet here showing the stuff. Let's zoom in a little bit here. We can take this away. There we go. Let's make it even bigger here. Let's go 150. There we go. Okay. So this is not fancy, but this is how it's going to work out here, at least in my case. So my rent, not my rent, I have a mortgage. My mortgage is around $1,500 per month. Now I choose to escrow the taxes, but not the insurance. So that's just principal, interest, and taxes. $1,500 a month. Let's assume I go with the big card, the Palladium, which earns 2x. Okay, so it's going to earn 2x. If I want to get the full $1,500, I have to spend at least 75%, which is $1,125. If I do that, I'll earn 1x on rent, which is $1,500. I'll earn $2,250 on spend, and then $3,750 on total points. So add those 2 together, 3,750 points. So it's sort of like unlocking my mortgage as a way to get points, but it's really sort of a function of the spend. So I'm just going to think of it as return on spend that I did. So if I earned 37.50 in points and I divide that by the amount I actually spent, that is 3.3333x. Now, a lot of people would say a 3.3333x card that returns that on everything is pretty good, especially if we're talking Bilt points. Those are fairly valuable points. If I value that at 1 cent per point, that is a 3.3% return on spend. If I valued that at 2 cents per point, that's a 6.667 return on spend. So I'm going to just list that here. Let's just say 2 cents per point. And I'll put here 6.67 return on spend. Pretty good. On the next example, let's say that I do the full amount, 100%. So then I've got 4,875 points earned on 1,500 of spend. That is a 3.25 return on spend at 1 cent per point, which is actually slightly worse. Weird how the math works out there. So I think it's probably better to go with did I do the math wrong on that? No, I did it right. I think it's probably better to shoot for that 75% threshold. If we do 2 cents per point, that's a 6.5 return on spend. So it all comes down to how much you value Bilt points. Do you think they're really worth 2 cents per point? Because you're probably not going to get a lot better than that. A 3.3 everywhere card where it's Bilt points. And then the question is, how are you going to use, the other stuff? How are you going to use your rebates and whatnot? Let's review what those rebates are. Down here is where it tells us. Okay, so you get a $400 travel hotel credit, $200 every semester, plus $200 of Bilt cash. I guess it depends on how you can use that. There's a crappy priority pass, but I'm not even going to worry about that because there's so many cards you get that on. I was watching Uncle Luke's live stream. Oh, did you lose audio here? It says I lost audio. Did I actually lose audio? No. Do you want to commit to an annual fee that big? $500, and you have to use that hotel credit. On Luke's live stream, Cesar Joel said that their hotel portal is inflated. One other person said it was inflated. Luke says it depends. Sometimes it's inflated, sometimes it's not. So that's about as far as I got. So do we have the Bilt discussion out of our system? I'm sure we do. No one else will have any comments or questions on Bilt. Let me. So am I going to do it? Haven't decided yet. I could see it being appealing for like somebody who just wants epic simplicity. Just put everything on that Bilt card. Let's see where we were. Dem says, Palladium here. If they allowed for pooling points, I'd get my wife the Obsidian, hoping that it's apply for more cards down the road. Ron says, I can't stay too long. I'm eating lunch with my wife's grandma. She's 99. Whoa. Celebrate, Grandma. AZ Fox said, should we see Bilt updates like iOS updates? It's hard to know. Matt says it's the biggest story or disaster since the CSR. Absolutely. New Again's wishing everyone a good weekend and first time agreeing. Dong Kim is here. How you doing, Dong? Nick says, I might be in the minority, but I think the Palladium version is more snazzy than their mirror finish. It won't really matter since I'll use Apple Pay for pretty much everything. Yeah, I'm kind of in the camp of not caring what the cards look like. Mike Newland comes on board and drops 20 memberships. Whoa! Celebrate. Thank you, Mike. It's good to have you back. I really appreciate it. So that's a good time to transition into how you can support my channel. You can do what Mike did and donate a membership. That helps out. You can drop a super chat, super sticker. If you want to make a donation that is either anonymous or has a smaller percentage going to YouTube, there is a tip jar in the description link of this video that you can use to make a donation. I'll try my best to read those before the end of everything. I see Juan from MIA dropped a $3 tip in the tip jar. Celebrate. Thank you, Juan. I really appreciate that. 20% of whatever you donate goes to my family budget. 80% is reinvested into the channel. Thank you much for your patronage. Mike. Fargonaut's okay with exclamation point. A lot of people thanking Mike here. Fargonaut says, I'm okay with Bilt commentary, but all detailed analysis so far has made my head hurt. New Again says, wait, I thought you essentially wrote that the Bilt refresh is worse than CSR/UR program. CSR is bad. Bilt edges them out, I think. It was a bad launch, but I think with this relaunch they announced yesterday, much better. They should have done it from the beginning. Jesus Christus here and triggers the algorithm a little bit. Nick says, CSR is still by far a bigger dumpster fire than this new Bilt. Yes, when you look at what the actual product is, I would agree. Kevin is here from Lakeland, Florida, and that reminds me, we got 63 people on board. This is actually more popular than I expected, so please click the thumbs up button if you've not already done so. I'm not sure if anybody's taken me up on the request to go over to the 2 different Discords and post a link to the live stream. I would appreciate it. One Kevin P says changes are essentially the same, but I get the need to simplify it, pretty much putting rewards, redemptions in autopilot. Yeah, I at first glance, I'm thinking whether you go with option 1 or 2, it kind of in the long run works out the same, but man, you should definitely keep it simple, stupid for the normies out there. Dem says my option with option 1 is you essentially flatline that multiplier after you exceed your monthly rent or mortgage. Bilt cash is at least ongoing no matter how you spend. That's a good point. And as I found out that little breakdown I just did, which I'll have to go back and do when I have more time, make it look all pretty and stuff. But it looks like the 1.25 option is actually not quite as good as the 1.0 option based on, you know, what I was saying earlier. Basically, put 75% of your mortgage equivalent on ordinary spend. New Again says, Bilt program is bad and so are the cards. Even if Bilt cash is worth 1-to-1, they will 100% be nerfed by the end of 2026. I feel like the way they have it set up now, they've got better sustainability. The question will be, how is cardless going to do? Fargan says, simplicity, not sure about that. Okay, it's not total simplicity, but it's a step in the right direction. Nick says, my issue with Bilt cash is the unknown of what it'll actually be worth. AS1234 says, but you would lose that Bilt cash at the end of the year anyway. Ronald says, Bilt cash can easily be manipulated in a negative way if the economics aren't working for the company. Yeah, that's a good point. Whereas with option 1, at least you know what you're getting. And Nick says, I'm not rolling over yearly. Everybody agrees. Okay. DEM says, a bit you're redeeming for status upgrades or travel. That excess Bilt cash go rather quickly for a frequent traveler. Yuri says, so if you choose the option without Bilt cash, but you get Bilt cash every year from Palladium, what are you going to do with it? They say you can use it towards Lyft rides, LYFT. I don't know what kind of ratio. I haven't seen that anywhere. So I would probably just use it for that. Yuri said he checked the Bilt portal. It was mostly inflated anywhere from 5 to 30%. Ouch. Okay, so if you say 30%, then we got to take that $400 annually, subtract 30%. Everybody grab your calculator and do this with me. 280. So is that where we should value those travel things? I don't love the idea of having to commit to 2 portal bookings of 2 days or more per year. DEM says redeem in portal for hotels, one-time status upgrades for better redemption, or what else they have, Yuri. And Nick says, I'm most likely downgrading after year 1, but I'll probably use it for Lyft. Sleepy Rod thinks Palladium is a great card. Finally, the elusive 2x Hyatt catch-all we've wanted. MR says Bilt is pulling US Bank and not allowing pooling. That's dumb. How you doing, MR? Good to see you. Yuri says, I hear that they'll allow you to use $10 Bilt cash for Lyft per month. Oh, is that all? And New Again says, the value all rests on Bilt cash, which is no way worth 1-to-1. No, I don't expect it to be. I'm thinking 50 cents on the dollar, maybe. Certainly not for long. Bilt will be out of job, cardless gone bankrupt if unchanged. Well, we'll have to see about that. But, you know, that's not our problem. Our job is to make hay while the sun is shining and take maximum advantage while we can. Flory Jack says, reasons I love Dugroz. 1, Casey's Pizza. 2, breaking down math that my liberal arts major brain can't do easily. Thank you, Flory. I appreciate that. Hopefully my, hyper basic spreadsheet here is not too basic for anyone. Why am I not having my big share option? There, yeah. That is the most basic of basic. Mojo, also known as AZ Fox, says, is it me? But it seems like the ones that most sour about the card are the ones that were declined for the card. Oh, that could be. Gentleman Explorers here. How you doing? On Bilt mortgages, my reading is that they are all ACH and never run through a card, Bilt or otherwise. So LOL when they say non-fee. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that, but I kind of think I know the gist of what you're getting at. How will the Bilt mortgages be paid? Is it basically I have to tell them draw money out of this checking account, it funnels through Bilt, and then is paid to whatever bank it's with? So, for example, my mortgage is with Chase, my checking account's with Wells Fargo. Are they just going to draw it out of Wells Fargo, send it to Chase, run it through the Bilt network, and say, there you go, there's your 1x or whatever? Seems like that might be the case. The comment that I made on Matt Clausen's video on this subject was this. I said, what's the confidence level that you will really be able to pay any mortgage? For example, if your mortgage is with Chase or Wells Fargo, could they just decide, sorry, we don't take Bilt? Matt says, that's a great question. I'm not very confident in that at all. It would be nice of them to highlight. I think Bilt would want it to be any mortgage, but what if Wells Fargo is so bitter that they block any incoming EFT from Bilt? Just saying. I'm not saying it's likely to happen, but could it happen? I wouldn't rule it out. One Kevin P says, I will downgrade Elite to Premier if it works out. Strata Elite, Strata Premier. With the Palladium, seems like a better travel card overall. Brady Smith is checking in from Morocco. I will catch the replay. Ooh, Morocco. I don't know why I'm doing that motion. Filmo says, I shall not be Bilting. Too many hoops and too much math. I don't want to learn a new system. Yeah, what about the first year 50,000 point sign-up bonus? You seem to be good with those generally. One Kevin says, hotel value on Bilt varies by chain, I've noticed. Hilton is way overpriced, but Marriott prices are good. Hey, we got 86 people on board here. Click the thumbs up button if you've not yet happened. I've never gone over 100 while still doing data points, so maybe I will. Fargonaut said CSR had a quality product that they chose to break. Bilt had a broken product that had to change. That put CSR further into the bad faith dumpster fire in my mind. I would agree with that. Solid Liquid Fox, awesome username, says, a lot of us in the community have credit lines with multiple banks. In this age of banks cutting down unused credit limit, do we really want to funnel all spend to Bilt Palladium for a year or two? A point worth making. Nick says in response to something Yuri said, I guess that's better than nothing. I don't really have a use outside of that unless they announce other ways to use it that don't involve hotels in their travel portal. We're talking Bilt Cash. John says, I will be the data point you want to know at Dugroz Reports by Wells Fargo Mortgage. Video coming. Well, you're going to have to get at least like 1 month in to figure that out. Or have they already enabled the mortgage payment? I thought they weren't enabling that till February. I might be remembering wrong. New Again says, if it's about making hay simple, get the Palladium sub, transfer out points, and downgrade or close the card after 12 months. But all the conversation debate about program's value, which is little to none. That's a viewpoint. Yuri says 50,000 is not as good as 100,000 from Citi, Chase, or Amex. I would agree with that, but Yuri, can't you generate an infinite amount of spend? Why not both? Sleepy Rod, I'm jumping on Palladium for at least a year, 50K Hyatt points plus 2x Hyatt catch-on Hyatt points on my rent. Filma doesn't like the sub either. 50K on a 500 card would normally be laughed at in this community. You make a decent point. It's kind of like right on the border because I'd say Bilt points are the most valuable points, but I'm going to be thinking that over. All right. I've reached the end of the comments. Yuri says Bilt is too sophisticated. They may not allow MS. We'll have to see about that. New Again agrees with Filmo, but it is what it is, and that all some people can get. I've never had a cardless card, so at least it would be open to me. I don't love the idea of getting on a board with a whole new issuer. All right. We got the Bilt stuff out of our system, at least 2/3 of it. All right, let's kind of hit the reset button here and do the normal, ordinary, run-of-the-mill Dugroz data points. Let's go. First Dugroz data point. So you probably remember that I applied for the Wells Fargo Saver card. Wait a minute, that's not right. There is no such thing. I applied for the Capital One Saver card in November or December. Don't remember which one. At the time I applied, it came with a $100 portal coupon credit for travel in the Capital One portal. And somebody said in the comments, they will only let you use that if you put your over and above on the Saver card. I found out that's not true. They'll let you do it on any Capital One card. So I went to book a rental car recently, and this is for when my wife and I are planning to go to Houston/Galveston, Texas, my final Vacasa stay later this month. We don't know yet if it's going to be me as a solo trip or me with Mrs. Dugroz. Her schedule's still up in the air. I'm going to have a rental car. So what I did was I rented the car through the Capital One travel portal. And you'll see right here, you have $100 in travel credits. It's from your Saver card, $100. I have to use it by November of 2026. But then on the next screen, it asked me the question of which payment method I want to use for the remainder. It was $146. So the amount above and beyond was $46. And I was allowed to put that on my Venture X. So I did. That way I still get 2x points instead of 1% cash back. And I get primary rental car coverage that way. So I thought that was pretty cool. Let's see. Sleepy Rod says, that makes sense, but I'm over 524, so I can't get any more Hyatt points by churning ink cards. That's in response to Yuri and Philmo saying the 50,000 point sub may not be worth it. If you're locked out of American Express and Chase subs, maybe it is worth it. Gentleman Explorer says, and I'm assuming this is the voice, precisely how you laid it out, Dr. Groz, on Bilt mortgages. It's Dr. Doog. Precisely how you laid it out, Dr. Doog, on Bilt mortgages. Neither Bilt nor the user pays a fee on mortgages as they are all ACH. Net effect is similar to Mesa. Thank you. I appreciate that. Andy, 99,856 is on board and drops a $2 super chat. Super sticker. Celebrate. Celebrate. Here's $2 for Bilt 2.0. Happy long weekend. Thank you, Andy. I don't remember if we've met before or not, but if not, glad to have you on board, and thanks for the donation. Philmo says, Chase makes it so easy to get URs beyond churning subs, though. Now, wait a minute. The stereotype, Philmo, is that you just chase subs left and right and don't worry about ordinary spend. Have you been holding back information from us? Ron said you should get 10x points on the Venture X using the travel portal, not 2x. You're right, Ron. That's what I meant to say. Just all this Bilt stuff rotted my brain. Thought you were going to Grandma's birthday party. Let's see. New Again says to Gentleman Explorer, some entity is picking up the net housing cost. I imagine it's split somehow between Bilt and Cardless based on the way Bilt raises capital. Regardless, not sustainable. Yuri says Mesa was better than Bilt. Keyword was. And Tom Graber stops by and gifts one Dugroz Reports membership. Just as good as a $3 super chat. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I don't remember if I said earlier when Mike made his large donation, 20 memberships is just as good as a $60 super chat. Celebrate, celebrate. All right. Where were we? In Juan's tip jar tip, he also indicated celebrate, celebrate. So celebrate, celebrate. Jimmy Duff's on board. Good to see you. And Gentleman Explorer gifts 5 Dugroz Reports membership. Just as good as $15. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you, gentlemen. I really appreciate that. We've got a lot more data points here. So with today being the kitchen sink episode, we're just kind of covering anything and everything. It's going to be like data points, random things I want to talk about, kind of woven in and out. Doctor of Credit let us know that there was a targeted Chase spending offer for 5x on grocery, gas, and restaurants. This is on the co-branded card. And I mentioned last week that I got this on my Aeroplan card, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. So gas being one of those things, as was mentioned earlier by friend of the channel, Flory Jack. I love Casey's Pizza. So I went to Casey's and spent $9.38 after activating that offer. However, I was disappointed that I only earned 9.38 total rewards, which would be 1x. So what's the deal with that? I went in, checked the offer to make sure I was registered. Sure enough, it says, thank you for your interest. You've already enrolled in this offer. Yesterday, I sent a secured message to the folks at Chase and said, my Aeroplan ending this. I signed up for the target promotion and got a confirmation that was activated for 5-time points on gas grocery restaurants. I made 2 recent purchases at gas station Casey's, which coded as gas, but only awarded 1 point per dollar. Can you please help me understand? Now, I've not got a response on that yet. Have any of you run into this on this Chase promotion or any prior Chase promotions? I know they will write back, and there is a fair chance they will say something along the lines of, well, Mr. Dugroz, we'll post those extra points later. But I'm pretty confident in previous promotions that they've right away showed up on the individual transaction line. Have you had that in the past where like you have a Chase promotional thing and each individual transaction only shows 1x, but then you get a lump sum later? Just wondering what the confidence level on this one is. I'll be sure to provide more data as time goes on. One Kevin P is thanking Tom. Apparently he got the gifted membership. That's awesome. 89 people on board. Really good. Go ahead and keep on clicking the thumbs up button. Next data point. This is from Wells Fargo. So Wells Fargo is the only major credit card issuer that I know of who lets you transfer just 1 point to your preferred rewards program. And I decided to transfer to Flying Blue, which is the combined rewards program of Air France and KLM, because I have like over 100,000 points trapped over there, and I don't want them to expire. So I'm like, hey, I'll transfer 1 point over. That'll extend the expiration. So I did that earlier this week. On the transfer itself, everything went smoothly. Transfer was instantaneous, so I checked my KLM Flying Blue stuff, and it says right there, 1 mile. Great. Apparently I did that on the first of the month. But then I waited a couple days and went back into my Flying Blue account, and it said I have 116,000 miles, and 1 mile is valid until December 1st, 2028. Everything else expires in March of 27. So what happened there? Is it the situation that you cannot use miles transferred in to extend it? I can tell you of that 116,000 miles, the vast majority, probably 107,000 or more, were from points transferred in from some rewards program. I'm not sure which one. Might have been American Express, might have been Chase, might have been Capital One. I was going to go to Denmark for spring break a few years ago, and I had the failed Denmark expedition where I never actually went. So I did a Google search and spent at least 2 minutes researching this, and someone said for some reason transferring in American Express points extends out that expiration period, but Chase does not. And then somebody else said mine does with Chase. There were no data points I found for Wells Fargo. So let me know what you've run into when you've transferred points in from any rewards program to Flying Blue. Does that extend that lifetime out? I remember there was a frequent miler show a long time ago about like if you earned your points by booking flights, transferring in points won't extend it out. But if you transfer in points, and that's how you have your points, transferring in 1,000 more points should help. Is 1,000 the number? I don't know. Anybody have a data point on that? I'd love to hear it. If I find out more, I will be sure to follow up. Matt says these Chase spend offers going to a personal UR card would be a godsend. Yeah, that would be great, but they're usually only on co-branded cards like Hyatt, Aeroplan, United, Southwest, IHG, etc., etc. K-Man 2324 drops a $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Says, currently planning our family vacation to see family in Switzerland this summer. Hey, it's fun that you have family in Switzerland. I wish I had family in a place like that. Dennis Dunn says, hey, gang, what's up, Doug? Cold in Iowa there, brother? It is pretty cold right now. Thank you. And K-Man also says, I'm going all in on Amex Gold plus Palladium for all non-food options. Going to try for 1.25x as my rent is relatively low at $1,300. Sleepy Rod says, this is related to the Flying Blue transfer. Yikes, the selling point for Wells Fargo transfers, that was the selling point for Wells Fargo transfers, single point transfers to keep program points alive. Yeah, it was a disappointment. Mike Newland reminds me of the 149 offer. So if you transfer in, not transfer in, if you donate exactly $1.49 as shown on the screen, usually that's with a super sticker, I will give you 1,000 Dugroz points. So boom, there you go, Mike, 1,000 Dugroz points for you. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you for the patronage. I appreciate it. You can use those at places like Tractor Supply, Bennigan's, Vacasa, but only in West Virginia and Iowa. Casey's we're working real hard on. We don't know what the ratios are going to be yet. Yuri said it works for Avianca, though, to move 1 point over from Wells Fargo. Well, that's good to know. All right, next Dugroz data point. I have an American Express Business Green card, the Business Green Rewards card. And just recently, the renewal membership fee posted on January 9th. So I've got about 30 days from them to make a decision on what to do with it. This was actually a business gold that I downgraded to a business green just to keep the upgrade downgrade path alive. And I'm thinking I'm going to let that go because in the entire year I've had it, as far as I recall, I've never had a upgrade offer to go back to the business gold. I have had an upgrade offer to go to the business platinum, but it's really spicy, costly. It's like either 10,000 or 15,000 points. I think it's 10,000 points to get 120,000. I said that wrong. $10,000 of spend in 3 months to get 120,000 points, which isn't spectacular. Also, I'm constantly getting offers just to apply from scratch. So I think they must be willing to take me. So what do you think? Should I just drop the business green and apply from scratch when I want to get back on board with the business gold or the business platinum? Let me know. Dennis says, Bennigan's Big Irish Burger. I'm in. Absolutely. Travel, Earn, Repeat says, I have the Chase Trifecta and the gold card. So with the reserve, I'm planning to download my gold Amex card to the Grand. What's your thoughts? I'm confused there. Okay, so you have the Chase Trifecta in gold. I'm with you there. I'm assuming you mean the Amex gold. So with the reserve, so CSR, I'm planning to download, probably means downgrade. My gold Amex to the okay, to the green. I got you now. What's your thoughts? I have a video that I've never made just in my list on my phone of video ideas called the Strangely Compelling Amex Green Card. Where the Amex Green seems awesome, but I can never quite get there. It just doesn't seem like the value's all that. Let's look it up together right now. Amex Green Card. Just see what it does here. So there it is. We're going to ignore the sign-up bonus for now. I'm going to hide your comment temporarily here. Travel, Earn, Repeat. 3x on travel, transit, dining, and 1x on everything else. You get that clear credit here. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth paying a annual fee of $150 for these three things because A, that's only one more point than a 2x everywhere card. And B, I get 3x on all these things with something else. So I guess if you have such an awesome use case for Amex cards that you need to keep it, I would. Otherwise, I don't know, man. I would probably just cancel and not do the green. That's my thought. Save the green for when you can get a sign-up bonus on it, assuming you've never had one. Or you've never had, well, if you've had a Amex Gold, I guess family language, you're locked out for now. Bummer. Mike says, hey, John, just working. Sleepy Rod says you have to search for it if you don't see an upgrade offer in your portal. Even if I did, is it that good? Is it that big of a deal? Ian says, I require 100,000 Hyatt points. Would you get the CIP with 100K offer or Bilt offer via TPG for 100K? I don't see an issue getting approved for either. There's a Bilt offer for 100K if you go through the points guy. I was not aware of that. It's simple. I look at it this way. If you think you're going to be a long-term user or keeper of the Bilt Palladium card, go for that. If not, go for the one and done with the Chase Ink Preferred. Ian drops a $2 super chat. Celebrate. Thank you. QC Man says, watching from my flight, hooray Delta Wi-Fi, and celebrates 22 months of membership. Whoa, that's solid. We're going to have the months of membership celebration a little later in the show. Nuracan says, I'm in the same situation with you on the business screen. I will cancel my annual fees due. I was offered to upgrade to gold for $70K for $10K of spend. See, and that's not that great because I'm getting flyers in the mail for $10K spend for at least $100,000, if not more. DEM thinks the green needs a refresh, but it really works well for some. Travel, earn, repeat thanks me for my comment. Yuri says the TPG offer is not available anymore. It was 5x up to 10K for the first 5 days. Mike also agrees it expires. M2K-01, that sounds like the name of a stormtrooper, says, what are your thoughts on using the Bilt Palladium card as a catch-all? It'll get 12K points per month. I have Chase and American Express with Hilton Surpass and Aspire. Chase, American Express, Hilton Surpass, and Aspire have plans to get into City. See, to me, it doesn't make sense to get into City for your catch-all and Bilt. It seems to make sense to do one or the other, because with City, I would be wanting to put a lot of spend on the double cash and use it for things like American, Choice Hotels, I prefer, stuff like that. With Bilt, I'm going to want to use it for Hyatt and Alaska primarily. So, which of those fits you better? I would say pick either City or Bilt, but not both. Now, I think if you're just doing Bilt and Chase and a little bit of Hilton mixed in, that seems solid. Safe travels, QC, man. Hey, we're up in the 90s again. 93 people on board. Keep clicking that thumbs up button. Next Dugroz data point. Hey, remember when I went to the United Kingdom? I climbed a mountain called the Great Orme, and I had a story about parking there. There was a parking meter that was very confusing. This was last summer. It kept asking me, please select your tariff, and I didn't know what that meant. And I had, President Trump's voice in my head. You got to pick your tariff. We want it to be really high. And what it actually meant was it's an alternate way of saying pick your length of time. So like if you paid the $3 tariff, you got a half hour. If you picked the $5 tariff, you got an hour. If you picked the $10 tariff, you got 4 hours. Well, I should have picked anything, but I couldn't figure it out. I thought I made a selection, but I didn't, so I ended up paying for nothing at all. There was a company called Parking Eye that took a picture of my rental car license plate, said, hey, you didn't pay, and I got a fine from Enterprise. The car rentals with Enterprise. Excuse me, I didn't get a fine from Enterprise. I got a fee from Enterprise for like £35, and then later the fine itself came from Parking Eye, and Enterprise said the fine will come from Enterprise, and I emailed, I'm saying that wrong. The fine comes from Parking Eye. There's a £35 fee from Enterprise. And I emailed Enterprise and said, if I'm paying the fine directly to the company that issues the fine, why are you charging me $35? And they basically said in a condescending, passive-aggressive way, well, this is an administrative processing fee for us passing your information on to the parking company. And I'm like, for the love of all things ugly, 35 pounds is like $47. So you're going to charge me $47 to send an email to Parking Eye with my name and email. That's kind of ridiculous. And they said, well, if the fine is waived, let us know and we'll be happy to refund it. So one of my it doesn't hurt to asks was, I checked with Parking Eye. I was really nice. I said, hey, I'm a tourist from the United States. I'm so sorry I couldn't figure out the machine. If you look at your video, you'll see I was standing at the machine for several minutes trying to figure it out. And eventually Parking Eye was like, yeah, you're right. We will actually, I only asked them to cut it in half. They said, we'll just waive it entirely. I guess they want me to come back to Wales. So well done, Parking Eye. When I was going back and doing my accounting for my video about the breakdown of me going to Europe last summer, which I will make eventually, I'm planning to finish it off on Monday. It's MLK Day. I was like, hey, I never asked Enterprise to waive the fee on that. So even though it was like 7 months later, I emailed them and I said, hey, Enterprise United Kingdom, this fine was canceled upon appeal. May I please have my £35 refunded? Douglas Rose, Iowa, USA. Thank you. We have checked into the fine and can confirm it was canceled. We'll process a refund of 35 pounds and it'll be returned to the original form of payment, which was my Aeroplan card. And what do you know? Right there, Enterprise Rent-A-Car credited me $47.24, which is interesting. I actually accidentally double dipped on this because I paid myself back on it, and now I'm getting the money back. So chalk this up to the it never hurts to ask, or I should say it rarely hurts to ask. It does every now and then, but not very often. So if you ever have like a fine overturned or something like that, check with your rental car company and just say, hey, would you please waive the administrative fee? Anytime you have like a parking ticket, fine, fee, if you're in a place where I'm a tourist, just, say, I'm a tourist, I don't know what I'm doing. Might work. When I got a fine for parking in front of the state capitol in Albany, New York. And just by asking nicely, they cut my fine from like $35 down to $20. So yeah, just ask, see what happens. Catching up on comments here. Ooh, I fell quite a long ways behind. Yes, we talked about that. Okay. QCM, I let John know that he enjoyed the Capital One Lounge at JFK. M2K thanks me for my answer. JazzFan27 says I booked my first big redemption. I used Chase points with my Aeroplan card and the Rove Miles portal, about 2 cents per point for Sanctuary Cap Kana. Thanks for leaning me on Aeroplan. Thanks for learning me on Aeroplan. You're welcome. Did you, boom, pay yourself back? Or will you soon? Awesome. I'm glad to hear it, Jazz fan. That warms the cockles of my heart. DEM says City and Bilt complement each other nicely. Give me a one-sentence explanation of how. Sleepy Rod wants to know if I'm jumping on Bilt 2.0. Still deciding, Sleepy Rod. Go back and listen to the first little bit of the video, and we'll talk about that. DM thinks they fit better than Amex and Bilt do together. I'm finding fewer and fewer uses for Amex. I'm not saying it's a bad ecosystem. It's just not fitting me as much. City still seems to be the best fit right now. Zizus is LOLing at something. And Gentleman Explorer says, the Lady Explorer and I have a steady stream of Biz Gold and Business Platinum for about a year now, stacking points but forced to ignore all other ecosystems. Yeah, but if you're knocking down 150K at a time, that's hard to go back on. Jazz fan going to Sanctuary Cap Kana. I'm not sure what that even is. So maybe somebody else knows, but sounds like QCM is asking if you're a Jazz fan, more of a John Stockton fan. Excuse me, Rudy Gobert. I don't know who that is. These are probably people who play for the Utah Jazz or did. Dennis says, Doug, you're always getting nailed for parking tickets and fees. I am, but only like when I travel outside of the greater Des Moines area. Inside my bubble, I'm good. Nemo Los Angeles says, nice. It doesn't hurt to ask. Filmo Dugroz, international man of traffic violations. Apparently. Because my first time going to the United Kingdom, I got a traffic fine of it ended up being about $75 for driving through the drop-off area at the Heathrow Airport. Not even stopping, just driving through it. New Again says, the double refund, Dugroz. Ron Burns says, is that the same shirt you have on the UK picture? Let's find out. Yeah, it is. Good call, Ron. Hey, I know what I like, all right? My wife and I miscommunicate on what time we have to leave. I'm sure you've never miscommunicated with your wife. Never, ever. QC man, nice. DEM says there's not much overlap in transfer part as much as there are with Amex and Bilt. Still pushing for City and Bilt. Fargonaut says Amex Business PC versus a new card decision is really about how much predicted spend you have. I didn't see a predictable route to 20K in 3 months, so I took the 10K upgrade for 120. I can see that. There you go. Nuracan drops a $2.99 super sticker. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you. I like the iceberg in the background of your picture. I'm assuming it's an iceberg, and the even looks like it has the head of a hawk cut out of the middle of it. Fargonaut says he keeps hitting send by accident. That's all right. Happens to the best of us. I got a lot more data points I can go over here. Oh, and then last but not least, on that mound in Wales called the Great Orme was this picture, which I don't think I've ever shared before. It was kind of like funny but scary at the same time. There's a lot of seagulls on this cliff, and it says, the instinct to chase could lead your dog to their death. Dogs have fallen off cliffs and died here. Keep your dog on a lead while visiting the Great Orme. It's like, holy cow, they don't mess around with their signs over there. Dennis agrees that I'm the international man of parking violations. Next, let's do a data point about a fan. This looks boring, but hey, we're going to chalk this up to it's the kitchen sink. Anything I want to talk about. I bought an oscillating fan. I bought one well over a year ago, and I really liked it from Holmes through Amazon. Bought another one thinking this would be great, but this one had a problem in that it didn't produce a steady sound. I like to run fans while napping, and instead of just boo, it had a surging problem. It would go like, It was like there was something in the motor that wouldn't make it produce a consistent noise. Unfortunately, I waited too long to return it through the automatic Amazon method, so I had to reach out to the Holmes Corporation. I missed it by literally a day. I had 30 days return through Amazon, and I forgot. So then we have a series of emails here. And I asked for a refund, and they asked me what the problem was. They asked me to take a bunch of pictures. I sent the pictures, and then they said, Dear Douglas, per the limited warranty, coverage applies to defects in material and workmanship. This is to inform you we're unable to proceed with your request. Thanks for understanding. And I'm like, nope, I do not accept that answer. I do not understand. So I wrote back and said, David, how can I verify a defect to workmanship if the flaw is internal? It's in the motor. As stated, the motor is surging. Video? And the response was, Larissa, your request has been updated. This is to confirm you'll receive a check for a refund of $25.16. So I'm like, booyah. Another refund successful. Again, it never hurts to ask. So if they say you're not eligible for a refund, don't take that as the first answer. Say something passive-aggressive and or sarcastic, like, how am I supposed to verify workmanship defect if it's inside the motor? They made me take pictures like this, too, of like it taken apart, like I was fitting in the box. And then ultimately, once they said your refund was approved, they said, instead of returning it, we want you to destroy the product. And I had to send them my address and also take a picture of the cord cut. So they had to prove that I'd cut the cord to the motor, I guess, so that they knew I wasn't trying to resell it, which I guess is reasonable. They're probably thinking it's cheaper for me to destroy it than for them to return it. Hey, we briefly had 100 people on board. Keep on clicking the thumbs up button. I know how you people really like talking about oscillating fans through Amazon. Sleepy Red wants to know if I've tried going for any more ink cards to see if that good old train is still alive. I have not. I guess you bring up a good point. I could just try it and see what happens. QC Man gives a $1.99 super sticker. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you, QC Man. I really appreciate it. Nemo again says, nice. It doesn't hurt to ask. And Dennis says, the refund man. Nice. I do what I can, peeps. Next Dugroz data point. This is one of the more traditional kind. Bilt announces a change. Oh, we already did the Bilt segment. That's right. Let me move past that here. All right. Hey, do you like artificial intelligence? I got something emailed to me that says you can use Gemini, whatever they call it, on Google for free. So I said, make a montage of 4 photos. A husky middle-aged man about 45 years old. Who could that be? With brown hair and a beard jogging through the woods. A gentle jog. Then he finds the tree that has a credit card reward inside, chops it down, and harvests the wonderful silver credit card. Once he has it, he is very happy and happily jogs away to show his friends. And this is the image it came up with. I posted this on my community tab recently. Here's me, the man jogging through the woods. Here he is finding the credit card tree. He's supposed to be chopping it down, but instead he pulls in the branches, and here's him gleefully showing off the silver credit card he pulled from the tree to all of his friends. Oh man, that's fun. I like that. What ideas should I do for credit card related AI in the future? Next up, how about some data points on Upside? Upside is an app that it's like card linked offers through mostly gas stations, but they have some dining and fast food as well. The rewards master turned me on to them having it for Taco Bell. So I've been to Taco Bell several times. They often have offers which go anywhere from like 2% up to 20%. Well, earlier this week, I got one for 20% cash back. That was pretty exciting, which netted me $2. So I must have spent right around $10. And then this really excited me because I hadn't seen this one before. Taco John's, home of the potato olays. You take the Olay, you dip it in cheese sauce, and oh man, it's so good. Now I'm going to want to go there for lunch. Brian, if you're watching, let's put Taco John's on the list. Maybe not. We'll see. But they had an offer too, not quite as lucrative. It was 7%, got 92 cents back. So if you have the Upside app, keep an eye out for Taco Bell and Taco John's. If you live in a place that has Taco John's, they started in Wyoming, but kind of migrated to the Midwest. If you've never used Upside before, it's really easy to use. It's just cash back at gas stations. It's all card linked. You don't have to do anything online. You don't have to be part of the Taco John's or Taco Bell rewards program. You can combine it with other offers with whatever card you use. Check the description box. I put my link to Upside, and I get some sort of reward if you do that. I'm not an affiliate or anything, but I'm just a user like anybody else who gets to refer a friend. And I think it's like I get an extra 10% for 3 months or something like that if you sign up. And if I get 3 friends to sign up, I get, I don't know, a free small Casey's pizza or something like that. Filmo asked this question. Doug, will you handle all my returns and IT calls going forward? It pays 200 Filmo points per hour. I'll pass for now. Let me know when you jump that up to 400 Filmo points per hour. David Williams says, I'm late. I must have missed the Bilt bashing. You did, in fact. QC man wants to know, are Filmo points worth more than Hyatt points? Filmo says 1 Filmo point equals 1 cent at Taco John's point. Oh, so 200 would be $2 towards Taco John's an hour. That's not terrible. That can work. I think a small potato lays right around $2 or $3. Now, you have to pay extra for the cheese sauce. I'm going to tilt my camera downwards a little bit for this next piece and move to my left so you can see what's going on. Remember back in December, somebody, I think it was Gentleman Explorer, matched donations to help me buy a Lego castle. I bought it. It came. I got it for Christmas. I'm still working on it. And if you look over my right shoulder, you'll see it has started. I haven't got very far yet. Just one little watchtower, but I'm going to build it in segments, and you guys will get to watch it come to life here over the next few live streams. Hopefully I have more and more time as time goes by to work on that. How about a random helpful comment? We're talking about food and stuff. This is from friend of the channel, Ron B, before he goes to visit grandma. I figured out a trick for city nights that works for me. As you may know, City Strata Elite gives you 6x points instead of the normal 3x on city nights, which is Friday nights, Saturday nights after 6 p.m. Eastern time. We usually eat pizza on Friday nights. I'll order the pizza to pick up at 6 p.m., but I'll say I'm paying cash. That just means I'm paying upon arrival. That way I can pay at the store at 6:01 and get the City Nights promotion. Depending on the chain, it might charge me at 5:30 if I pay online. That way I don't have to wait until 6 to make the order and we can eat earlier. And I gave them the medallion and said, make it work. Yeah. If your family's wanting to eat at 6 o'clock and you wait till 6 o'clock to order, that's problematic. So way to go, Ron. You figured out a great workaround. Let's do our Dugroz Eats segment. Where did I eat? Anybody want to guess based on this this little array where I ate about a week ago? We got some fried chicken. We got some potato wedges. We got a salad with some cheese, some ham, some croutons, a pickle. We got ranch dressing. It's hard to see, but there's some potato salad over here on the side. I'll give one partial Jeopardy theme song. Do 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 bong bong. Pizza Ranch. I go to Pizza Ranch. I haven't been in a long time because they started charging a credit card surcharge of like 3%. and just on principle, I don't want to go anymore. But I got a coupon in the mail for $2 off any adult buffet, so that more than canceled out that fee. I think it was like $11 after the coupon, something like that. Funny thing about Pizza Ranch is I think they're more known for their chicken than their pizza. And I almost always get a root beer float while I'm there. You make it yourself. Nurakan guessed Hometown Buffet. Ron guessed Bennigan's. A worthy guess, but nope, that wasn't it. This next segment is supporting other YouTubers. So I thought to myself, someday when I get big and I get 5,000 subscribers, I'm going to wish others had done for me what I rarely had done, and that is get a shout out from a big time YouTuber. Well, I'm close enough. I'm at like 3,800 subscribers, or is it 2,800? How many subscribers do I have? Somebody put it in the thing over here. But I'm like, you know what? Close enough. I'm going to promote a couple different YouTube channels that I like. Both of these are linked in the description box. Neither of them have anything to do with Points and Miles. So this is a music theme for now. This one is for Lisa Dawson. Lisa is a musician in Northern Ireland, and she blends classical, contemporary, and Celtic styles, creating covers and original music. I am a sucker for a female voice that is classic and natural, not like, auto-tune or anything. Here's a picture of Lisa at her piano singing with her kind of Northern Irish brogue accent, and it's just very lovely. So check the description box out, and I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to Lisa. And then the other one is Jean-Marc Delon, who is French, but he sings in English, and he's at 808 subscribers, so could really use a boost to get up over 1,000. Mark does bluegrass music, which is interesting for a French gentleman to do bluegrass, often playing with his compatriot. I believe her name is Lisa, or no, Marie, something like that. She plays the double bass, and they both sing, and it just comes out really, really nicely. So if you would be kind enough to subscribe to them, again, link in the description box. John says 2,800 subs, not 3,800. Thank you for clarifying. JW Jackson says, I heard a nice workaround the city nights was to order gift cards from DoorDash at the specified time. It is. I've done that a couple times. I've done it on the Zift Zillions cards for Amazon, and that works well. Sleepy Rod says, I prefer smaller size credit card channels. The big channels mostly just read the credit card webpage to you with some background music. Hey, I hope you consider me to be small enough. Thank you so much. LH Finances says, my Pizza Ranch is a Bilt dining location, so I get 3% there, 7% with the Flex, their Pizza Ranch rewards, and use the same coupon deal. Reward stacking. I've never bothered signing up for Pizza Ranch rewards. Are they rewarding? I only go like 3 times a year, so I didn't think it was that big of a deal. But yeah, I'll need to look into Bilt dining, because you can use that even if you don't have the Bilt card, right? Time for a screenshot. Good job, LH. DEM says, do gift cards flag as dining on DoorDash? Yes, they do. For example, Target gift cards purchased through DoorDash. Well, I've only bought the Zift Zillions cards, and those code is dining, so I'm getting 6x on those. So, why would I ever use an Amazon card if I can get 6 city points per dollar? All right, we're going to do 2 more data points. Then I'm going to take the biology break here because I got a potty. There was, and maybe still is, a rumor going on around, hat tip to Doctor of Credit. A Wells Fargo card is going to launch on February 6th. Now, this has been confirmed by a couple people in the comment section. Interestingly, February 6th is the conversion date of the Bilt cards to a Wells Fargo autograph. So it's possible that bankers have been confused, but this is basically people who have gone into a Wells Fargo branch and asked. The banker will say there's a new product coming on February 6th. They can't always tell what it is. One particular person was told, and that's where this rumor kind of originated, that it's going to be like the autograph journey, but even better. Now, whether or not it actually is, who knows? Did I say that right? Autograph journey? Yeah, that's the one that is like 5x on hotels, 4x on airline flights. Now, again, there might be some confusion and mix up here because we're basing this on like a few people talking to bankers. As a former Wells Fargo banker, I found this comment to be insightful. Fred said, branch personnel receive little to no compensation for credit card business. As such, they do not learn about the products. 99 times out of 100, hobbyists will know more about the credit card products than they do. And that's true. I added the comment, and yet bank management will hype it up without understanding it. So I could easily see a situation where some branch manager's like, hey, we got this great new credit card coming, and we're going to give 2 or 3 talking points like, it's great, it's better than the journey, and it's coming on February 6th. Can you give me more detail than that, Jake? No, I cannot. Sorry. Jake was actually my branch manager. He was a great guy. I liked working for Jake. Well, he was the branch manager that I liked. I had a couple others that were not as likable. But I remember another funny story. One time Jake came into my office like, hey, I saw you referred someone over for a credit card. And this was before Wells Fargo had their problems, so they were still wanting you to sell stuff. I was never in the worst of it. I was before the worst of it, but it was like, if you refer 30 products per quarter, you're eligible for a bonus. It's like, good job referring that. Referring it just means like you explain it to them, send them to talk to someone else. That if they open it, you get like credit towards your quarterly bonus. And I said, by the way, Jake, something that's been bothering me for a long time. Yeah. It says the credit card earns like 1 point per dollar on everything and 2 points per dollar on certain things. This was like the old Golden Ponies card. 2 points per dollar on travel or something like that. I was like, what does that even mean? And he's like, well, what do you mean? It's like, well, if I'm earning 2 points per dollar, but I don't know what a point is worth, how do I explain to people what it's worth? He's like, you know, Doug, that's a good question. Why don't you research that and share with all the other bankers what you found? Like, okay. In other words, he didn't have a clue either. He had no idea what the card was worth. It reminds me of before I got into points and miles, and I would see the Capital One Venture cards commercials with either Jennifer Garner or Samuel L. Jackson, and they'd be like, you earn double miles. And I'm like, what am I doubling? If I don't know what a mile is worth, what's double? It just frustrated me so much. So yeah, bankers at banks selling credit cards have no idea what they're doing. Just they've been told that we need to refer them or sell them or those kind of things. Swinging back around here. Sleepy Rod prefers. Oh yeah, we already talked about that. Okay, we talked about that. QC man. I like my women natural. Dugroz out of context. Female vocalists, singing voices is what we're discussing here. You need to control your quality a little better there, QC man. LH says Pizza Ranch Rewards get you $5 off on your birthday and $5 off every $100 in spend. Okay, program. Well, I might as well sign up for it then. New Again says big channels don't have much objectivity, just general hype. Spencer now has a full-time YouTuber and it shows. Oh, excuse me. Spencer is now a full-time YouTuber and it shows with his Bilt Refresh coverage, which was general hype. He took some beatings in the comments. You know, I watched Spencer's rollout video and I will say I didn't see any harm. It wasn't like, you know, there wasn't a breakdown in terms of it being worth it, but it was just info. But yeah, I get what you're saying. The bigger a channel gets, the more general they get. And I think you kind of have to. I mean, my wife and I were talking a few days ago, and it's like, I just can't bring myself to spend my time making the top 10 best credit card videos. And I could do that and basically pick any 10 cards, and it would get like 3 times the views of some of my other videos. For the first time ever in recent history, for the first time ever, period, I actually made a video, made it members first, so it released as members only, and then 3 or 4 days later, it released to the general public. For the first time ever, I put it back to members only. That's how badly it did. It was my video about, did credit card points and miles save my life, or at least my health? It got like less than 300 views, including members and the general public put together. And like, normally I get at least like 700. So I'm like, oh, crap. And my analytics is like, video performance out of your last 10 videos, this was the 10th best, which means worst. something like that. And I know why. It's because there were no keywords in the title that like would trigger someone to seek it out. So only people that are already major fans would ever bother watching it. So why don't you consider becoming a Dugroz diehard? It's only $3 a month. Cancel anytime. You can watch all 60 plus members only videos, including that one. Binge it and then cancel. I don't care, but that's a great way to support my channel. We'll get to an honor segment where we give out honors to people who've been members the longest after the bathroom break. JW Jackson says, I bought Best Buy gift cards at DoorDash and it coded as dining. That's good to know. Sleepy Rod says something like, no shade, Spencer. Like his channel. I'm at the 400K plus subscriber channels. Gotcha. Jazz fan, I used to think you could offset 1 miles of flying for each point. Like, all right, I'm flying from Des Moines to Chicago. That's 400 miles, so I need 400 points. I earn 1 point per dollar, so I only have to spend $400 and I get a free plane ticket to Chicago. I wish. Fargonaut says, the ranch. My mind couldn't get past Shakey's, but I think they're long gone. I don't even know what Shakey's is. Are they at all like, what's that one I went to after the Pokemon tournament last week? Pokemon! Freddy's Steak Burgers. Anything like that? David Williams says, darn, Spencer has like 600 negative comments on his Bilt video. Nemo says, the Bilt rollout wasn't easy to understand. DEM says, I don't think he was shilling. He was just presenting facts and how it worked for him. That's kind of how I felt. Jazz fan watched it. Philmo says, Spencer is an awesome kid. He was ready for the smoke. I imagine he knew it was coming because anytime Bilt paid to fly him to New York for the premiere, so there's going to be an instant assumption of bias and a valid assumption. So if you don't know someone personally, you haven't watched it for a long time, I can see why you would think that. I don't think he's hiding anything as far as I know. Yeah. I know even from like when I reviewed mattresses and stuff, you're called a shill if you say anything positive. JW Jackson says, Jennifer Garner squints and says, I could get used to this. Well, don't, because your lounge access got nerfed. Good point. New Again says, Doug, the content/hobby wouldn't be as interesting or as fun if you went shill. I'm going to try my best not to, but I'm working on my big first mattress sponsorship. Spencer's a good dude, not shilling, says David. Ziza says $3 a month is a bargain. $3 a month for what? What were we talking about? I literally forgot. Oh, for being a channel member. Thank you, Zizas. I appreciate it. Have you met the MSR in your city CSE yet? Minimum spend requirement. I have not. I'm still working on that. Got a couple large purchases coming up. One thing I do like about City is they actually have a tracker right there in the app, so you don't have to like wonder how much more spend you have to go. Obviously, be cognizant of returns and things like that. My wife's car needed new brakes, and I was debating. It's like $700 for the front and $600 for the back. I'm like, I don't want to spend this much money, so I replaced just the fronts, and I'll have to do the backs in probably 3 to 6 months. So yeah, I just had $598 go on that card, the CSE, and I put $100 on my Saver card just because it's 0% for a year, and I want to kind of float that $100, if you know what I mean. So where is my bonus tracker? Can I show it to you without accidentally showing anything confidential? Yeah, I can. So hold that up here, see if it shows. It's super blurry, but there's the bonus tracker. It's sort of like a half circle grid, and it shows you how much is full. So I've got 3,590 left to go out of 6,000, a little under half. And I like down here, this is going to be super blurry, but right here it says City Nights starts in 6 hours and 11 minutes. City Nights, have you ever heard those City Nights? Or you can think about Christopher Cross. If you get caught eating lunch in New York City. Nurican wants to know if I'm still holding on to the U.S. bar, still no word of the transfer partners, if that's even happening. Yeah, fortunately, my annual fee won't post until either very late January or sometime in February. So I've got time, but, oh, man. You know, let's say I have until March 1st, roughly. Come on, U.S. Bank. Do something. I think I've decided if I haven't heard by then, I'm going to call in, ask for a retention offer. If I get a good retention offer, I'll keep it. If I don't get a good retention offer, I'll downgrade to the Connect. I'm hoping they offer me one of those. If they don't offer me either one, oh boy. QC Man says, yeah, I think Spencer's getting beat up a little too much on this. Perhaps all credit card YouTubers shouldn't take trips from credit card companies as a general rule, but I don't think he was a shill because he liked it. Tell you what, if Bilt, I don't know. Let's think of some other company. Let's say Wells Fargo comes out with their new card and there's like, hey, Dugroz reports he's a big time YouTuber. Let's fly you out to our headquarters in San Francisco and, pay to put you up in a nice hotel for 3 nights and fly you business class. I'm taking the offer. I'll probably get an offer from like Wyndham when they ever refresh their business card to fly me to Wheeling, West Virginia or something like that. M2K thinks Spencer's video was solid. Yuri G says, what do I need to do if I don't want to pay for the VentureX Priority Pass authorized user membership? Right now, I have an authorized user with a card and a Priority Pass membership. Well, how badly do you want to get into the Capital One lounges? Because if your player 2 wants to get the VentureX, do you feel comfortable with that? That would be an option. Otherwise, pay to play. I've got a comment on that later. Ian says, I haven't watched any of Spencer's videos, but all he had to do was say if they did or did not require approval, and that should quell everyone's concerns. Don't know the answer to that. Zizza said, another question before I forget. Which hotel brand do you prefer between Hilton, Hyatt, and Marriott? I'm guessing Hilton. If you're just talking the hotel itself, like amenities, how it works, those kind of things, I prefer Hilton pretty strongly for a couple reasons. One is you can transfer points interchangeably from person to person. Why am I looking at the microphone? The camera's over here. You can transfer points from person to person interchangeably. Anyone. Like I could send you points, you could send me points. So my mom and dad have some points. My wife has some points. My sister has points. If we need to share them, it's easy to do. I think every program should do that. You can either just give them or you can do points pooling, whichever you prefer. I don't have any experience with Marriott, and I don't really plan on getting into Marriott in the near future. I also like Hilton because of guaranteed connecting rooms. Hyatt could win me over if they had that. And then Hilton just plain has a bigger footprint. Also, I have the gold card, so I have the Attune card, so I have automatic gold status, and those things all just kind of work together well. Now, the value of the points, Hilton's been going downhill, so Hyatt's a much better value. If I run out of Hilton points someday, which is going to be a while, because my parents earned a bunch before they had to end their nursing home or assisted living payment adventure. I have a bunch left over from that. So when I get through them, I think, if it's like I can use points transferred from Chase to Hyatt for a Hyatt place, or I can use points transferred from Amex to Hilton for a Hampton Inn, Hyatt's always going to be a better value. So I like Hilton the most, but Hyatt's almost always a better value. Fargonaut thought Spencer kind of was more informational and less quotes. Yuri says, no, I don't want to pay for that. Well, then you're out of luck, Yuri. Sorry. Talk about the Capital One changes. Fargonaut says, more informational and less enthusiastic than a few other channels. Okay, I got you. The credit card connection is on board. That's Joe. Good morning, Dugroz. Hope all is well. What's your take on the Strata Elite? Do you mean in general, or like was there some new information I don't know about? By the way, Joe, I want to know, is there actually a Wells Fargo card coming on February 6th, or are there just a bunch of confused bankers? The Strata Elite. So I got it because the sign-up bonus, 100,000 points year one, makes it super obvious. Will I downgrade to a Strata Premier at the end of year one? The Strata plus Strata Elite combo is actually kind of good. You get your 3x on dining, your 6x on city nights. And then you'd still get 3x on grocery and gas through your regular Strata. You could do a double cash for 2x and a custom cash to round out the quartet for 5x on a category of your choosing. And now that I found out some strategery, thanks to Ron Byrne and others, who's the other person that really talked me into using city nights creatively? I can't remember who that was. Let me see if I can figure it out here, because that person needs proper thankage. Maybe it was just Ron. I thought there was one other person. If you're on board, let me know. Somebody sent me a bunch of Discord messages about the benefits of city nights. But yeah, if I can get 6x city points on Amazon gift cards and just reload that and use that for Amazon, I could use it for other gift cards too. Then, ooh, I like strategy. I like hackability. So I'm undecided right now, Joe. I do like that their portal credit is any 2-night stay or more, any of them, rather than like, you know, having to break it down by whatever. That's my thought. Good to see you. Gentleman Explorer said people are supposed to work for free. Don't we people like Spencer to attend these events? Don't we want people like Spencer? Boy, this has gotten into a direction I did not anticipate. I'm going to take Rex's comment, then I'm going to go to the bathroom. I just got my 5th Amex Business Platinum with a 200,000 point sub straight out of my account. No lifetime language, incognito, or special link needed. They know I'm abusing them, but they don't seem to care. Good for me. Awesome. Way to go, Rex. I should be getting some of those in the near future. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the bathroom break, also known as the intermission, also known as the biology break. You're going to listen to some copyright-free music. You're going to stare at the wall. And please don't leave. Let me leave a point for discussion if you want to talk about what's the dumbest thing an employee of a bank has ever said to you that was like wrong or something like that. Or if you want to make it anything in the financial world, like one time an employee at a gas station told me you're not allowed to pay with credit cards because they aren't accepted after 5:00 p.m. or something like that. I'm back. Just got asthma hit. All right. Hey, 95 people on board. Thanks for staying tuned. All right. So, dumbest thing. My runner up is I went through a drive-through once, like Taco Bell or something like that, and tried to pay with my credit card. And it didn't work for some reason. And tried it again. It didn't work. And the cashier, who was like a 22-year-old lady, said, "Oh, are you trying to pay with the blue card? A lot of people have been having problems with that one lately." As if, you know, there's only 5 credit cards in the entire world and they're color coded, and the company that issues the blue card is down. The all-time winner was I went to a gas station, Quick Trip Quick Star here in the Midwest, and tried to buy a prepaid Visa gift card with a credit card. And they wouldn't let me. Their store policy doesn't allow it, and that's fine. But the cashier was an adult woman, and she said, actually, there's a federal law. You're not allowed to buy gift cards with a credit card. It's sort of like money laundering. And this was when I was early in the game, so I was just like, okay, I'll put it back. If I had to say it now, I'd say like, nope, you're making that up. Now, if your store policy doesn't allow it, I'm not going to try to talk you into it or out of it. I'll put it back. That's fine. But don't go around just making stuff up, because if you're right, that means the following companies are all violating federal law repeatedly: Hy-Vee, Walgreens, CVS Pharmacy, Walmart, Target, Fleet Farm. Several of these companies are Fortune 500 companies who don't know the law. Filmo, blue cards suck. MR, blue cards matter. All right. I'll catch up on comments here. I've got more data too, believe it or not. Oh my word, there's so many people making comments. That's awesome. I might have to stop being a little more generous with reading every comment. Background Balloon woke up earlier to make it. Glad to see it. Filmo forgot to hit the like button. Don't be like Filmo. Do it now. Ian says, Costco hot dogs for lunch. Well, if I want to be cheap. New Again says, I don't have a problem with the creator taking a sponsored trip, but if you make a video hyping up that product, you can't be mad at people calling you a shill. Well, you're going to be calling me a mattress shill in the near future. Dem says, to Yuri, MS Amex Platinum is waiving authorized user. You want the authorized user to have their own priority pass access. Ian loves to see triple digits on attendees. Glad. Some people just saying hi to each other. Yeah, hopefully I answered your question, Joe. If not, let me know. New Again says, I'm not calling Spencer a shill. I think he was right on the line. QC Man says, Joe, I was just at the Capital Lounge this morning. It was wonderful. Ian thinks the CSE is fire. Love that card. Maybe you were the one who gave me some encouragement. If you were, thank you, Ian. Joe says, they told me it was their most premium card, but now it just seems like they're putting lipstick on the autograph journey. But there is something coming out round about February 6th, it sounds like. Where were we? LN says, I think today calls for a super chat for 2.0. And LN drops a $2 super chat. Celebrate. Thank you. I think my all-time concurrent viewers was 108. So let's see if we can get there by clicking the like button, making comments, making donations. I don't know this for sure, but like if you're debating, do I do one $10 donation or two $5 donations? It might be better to do two $5 donations, but I really do like those yellow and green donations also. So I'll take whatever. Yuri thinks CSE is one of the two best cards of 2025 together with the Alaska Summit. Won't fight you there. Jazz wants to know what sort of cents per point you folks usually get for economy flights. Not much. I get 1.625 if I use my Aeroplan card. I did a Flying Blue inter-European flight, and it was 1.1. You know, if I do Delta, it might be 1. American's usually a little better, up around 2. United might be somewhere in between. Southwest is like 1.25, 1.3. DEM says, I think I'm downgrading my CSE after year 1. Prestige will eventually become a CSE anyway. I get what you mean by that first part. The second part, Prestige will eventually become a CSE anyway. Oh, Prestige, not Premier. I hear what you're saying. A lot of people saying hi to each other. Source King's on board. Glad to see you. A Rakuten credit card rep told me the credit card payments to Amex take 3 business days to post and free up your credit line. Good to know. No credit cards after 5 p.m. That's wild. That was a made-up example. That didn't actually happen. Let's see. Background Balloon. The dumbest thing an employee said, as someone who doesn't go outside, ... Anyone who doesn't take credit cards after 5 p.m. is clearly anti-city night, says QC Man. Background Balloon says, I didn't know the terminal was discriminatory towards colors. MR thinks purple cards are better. DEM says blue pills or blue cards. New Again says, the dumbest financial thing told to me, each Bilt cash point is and will stay worth $1. Nope. JW Jackson, that Amex cannot be used overseas. Yeah, a lot of people say there are limitations, don't get me wrong, but definitely use it overseas. I have. Joe wants people to hit the like button. Thank you so much, brother. Rex thinks Spencer Johnson's under the control of Odin. Background says, to be frank, for Spencer, he's been very consistent about liking transferring to Hyatt and Bilt and does that. Joe wants everyone to know all's good out in Hackensack. Who needs a house out in Hackensack? Is that all you get for your money? MR says, I think the store Spencer's at the mall is pretty awesome. They have fun things. That's what we're talking about, right? How about two $10 donations? I accept. That would be awesome, Rex. Thanks. Some people saying hi and that kind of stuff. Paul the MN newbie, or Paul P&M newbie. Points and miles newbie. I get it. Good to meet you. Spencer to close the free trip and gave an opinion. It's up to us how to decide how we feel about that. Spencer really did sell out when it comes to Odin. Sad to say that's been the case since the beginning of his channel. Just kidding. Source King is on short AA flights. I've gotten 3 cents per point. Yeah, I have occasionally. QC Man says lipstick on the autograph journey is better than lipstick on a pig. It probably will at least have a good sub. You know, if they could do something really simple, like take the autograph journey, jump the annual fee up to $150, exact same benefits, but you get the right to pay yourself back on all travel at 1.25 cents per point, that would be a winner. One Kevin P says, am I wrong in believing the Palladium could be a FHR alternative? $400 semi-annual hotel credit plus $200 Bilt cash, which increases as you spend. Yeah, but you're probably not going to get things like your free breakfast, your 4 p.m. late checkout, and all that. It could be like a simple traveler's alternative. It depends on their portal. So what I'll do some point is do all the math, and then I'll also break down the portal. But don't hold your breath. It might be a while, people. Rex was impressed with the Billy Joel line. All right, I do have more data points here, I swear. All right, let's get into the thank you for being a channel member. I used to always notate when people reach 12 months of membership, and it's been a little while, so I apologize for my dereliction on that. But let's just read off in order every single Dugroz diehard who's been a channel member for 12 months or more. Jacob Hess, Scott S., Filmo, The One CEO, AJ Buena, Zachary Hegland, Matt Clausen, Ryan Siebers. Next slide, please. AP, Cedric Skinner, John's Credit and Travel, QC Man, Manuel Jimenez, Tom Graber, Juan Garcia, Bianca, Sean D99X, The Credit Frog, Jared Holbrook, Xavier ID, Flyin' Ryan, Vincent Pascal, Spathco, Dion Standengelk, Brian Bonner, Ian KM, P&M Newbie, Michael Keaton, Texas Seabass, Dimitri Quadruple One, Texas Dog, Dad on a Mission, and Gold Homer. That's 33 total people who have been members for 12 months or more. Source King, you're at 11 months. You're up next. So my homework for you, Source King, is next month, somewhere around the second week in February. Just give me a reminder, and I will honor all those people who have crossed their 12-month threshold. Oop, I disappeared temporarily, didn't I? There I am. So yeah, the oldest people are now up in the 26-month range. We've got Filmo at 26. Filmo, you're third place. Missed it by 2. Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for hanging in there who's been a member for more than 12 months. As I prepare to make my video about my trip to the United Kingdom and Austria, I was doing this fun thing. There's a website called True Size where you can take like a country, move it around in a map to see what it is. And I've cited a couple times the entire United Kingdom is about the same size as Minnesota and Iowa combined. And I found out that's true. But then I thought to myself, if you kind of squish Northern Ireland over here, move the Shetland Islands down, take Cornwall and kind of curl it up around Wales, it looks like actually Minnesota and Iowa might be bigger. So I looked up the statistics. Total area of the United Kingdom is 94,000 square miles. According to Siri, the combined total area of Iowa and Minnesota is 143,000 square miles. So we're talking like almost, but not quite 1.5 times bigger than the United Kingdom. So, in fact, Minnesota alone is at 86,000 square miles, which is like around 90% of the size of the United Kingdom. So, just a reminder, some of those European countries are not that big. So, if you're concerned about getting a rental car, don't be. I had a good time. Hey. Jazz Fan says, I would love if you could break down the Bilt cash for hotels like you did before. Spend, stay. That was a great metric. How much spend you have to do to get to a stay? That's been a while. That was back with my budget hotel showdown where I thought IHG would win, but actually Hyatt won. Good idea. Thank you, Jazz Fan. I'll mark that down. I do have to admit that I have just had a very busy life lately, so I just have not had a chance to make many standalone videos. I am mostly only making the live streams like I'm doing now, plus my frugal points series where I drive in my car. MR says, credit card that's a red, credit card that's white, whatever kind of mood you're in tonight. Oh, credit card that's red, credit card that's white, whatever kind of mood you're in tonight. Rex Blind dropped a $9.99 super chat, and it says one of two, so I'm going to keep watching. Celebrate. Thanks so much, Rex. Very helpful. Source King says, ouch, so close to being ranked. Next month, just don't let me forget. Filmo's been a member for 26 months. I made it. I'm Dugroz famous. That's the best kind of famous. Danny A-IO and some other letters. Dugroz, have you ever had this issue? I ordered a large restaurant order for pickup over the phone and paid with a Chase Freedom Flex. I only received 1X from Chase. They said they consider that catering is not dining. I've never had that before. Bummer. I wonder if this particular restaurant is one of two things. Either they have a restaurant and catering, and maybe the catering company came first when they set up their credit card stuff. It's just they set it up as catering. So everyone, whether you're dine-in, carry-out, delivery, whatever, it all counts as catering. Or they have two separate machines, two separate charges, but like their delivery is closer to the door. So they just used whatever machine was closest to the door. Interestingly, when I went on the tram that you saw earlier at the Great Orme to go up the little mountain in Wales where your dog might fall off the cliff and die while chasing seagulls, I paid cash for the kids because I had some cash I needed to get rid of before we left the United Kingdom, and used a credit card for my wife and I. And I put it on the Aeroplan, hoping I could, boom, pay myself back. But you know what it coded as for a funicular, like a San Francisco style trawler where you ride up a hill? Billiards and pool halls. So probably Frank owns a pool hall over in Lolando, Llandudno, and also owns the Orme ticketing station. He just didn't bother updating what it codes as. So no, I've never had that. Rex gave 2 of 2. Here's the second donation of $9.99. 2 of 2. Okay, let's see how that goes. Celebrate. We're at 92 people. So you got to give me more money, people. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do a... Who was that famous guy who told people to send him money or he would die? Was that Jerry Falwell? iPhone would let me do $10 donations. Okay, good. And I really appreciate that. That's awesome, Rex. QC Man says, if Palladium allowed earning loyalty points in their portal, then maybe the 400 credit would be fine, but they don't. Rex says, now we need Mike Newland to win and do 2 $20 donations. He already did a $20 20 memberships earlier in the channel, so he's already done his part. We really appreciate it. Yeah, that's what Dem says. Danny says, it was Mission Barbecue. Nice, Rex. Thank you very much. All right, let's see what we have left here with the kitchen sink and all. We've got some random comments. Random comments that I like. So there is a Discord called the Stack Your Points gift card, hosted by Matt Clausen, RJ, and others who are part of the Stack Your Points podcast. And there's a section within it called Mathnasium, which is only for the nerdiest of nerds who like to talk about math. And here are some comments from the Mathnasium. This was back before Christmas. Keith said, I don't think that enough people are catching on to that if part. Programs are now only saving certain award space for their top tier program members, Flying Blue, Emirates, etc. We were all ranting about how hard it is to find reliable award space on popular awards like flying to Europe, domestic, etc. Keith says, for domestic flights, I'm just going to use my Amex travel with my American Express Business Platinum going forward. He means the Business Platinum. I think I just redundantly said something redundant. More availability, they end up being cash bookings, and I get a 35 rebate on the points used on your chosen airline. So this is the old joy of 1.5 where it's just going away. I actually think there is a truckload of value in using just the Amex Business Platinum for all of your domestic travel. Just get your 1.53 cents per point or whatever it works out to and call it good. Plus it counts as a cash booking, so you get your miles on whatever. Now that's harder for me living in a non-hub airport where I have to kind of go with whatever airline I go with, but I could maybe do an Amex enough to make that worthwhile when I don't have city points. So you could argue that just City plus American Express and just get a whole bunch of sign-up bonuses on American Express is the way to go. City for everyday spend, Amex for your sign-up bonuses, especially if you're a domestic traveler. Spaceco says, it has the nice benefit of being able to book whatever flight you want with your chosen airline. It's kind of crazy to sit back and look how limited our choices are for good value in trying to play this game. I think we're both just, all three of us are commiserating. It's just getting harder and harder to find reliable value with points transfers. Here's another good comment from the same crowd. Skip this first part. He said, there's so many college kids on Reddit saying travel is my passion. I spend $3,000 a year on dining and maybe $1,500 at Target. What card should I get so I can travel the world? And SK8ZA sarcastically says, presenting the US Bank Hostel card. And we were all joking and commiserating that, yeah, normies or college kids or people new to the game were like, hey, I want to travel. What credit card should I get? Well, there's a lot more to it than just getting the card. And here's a fun AI image that Spaceco made, which I thought addresses this perfectly. How you think it will work. One credit card, lots of vacations. We're going to a beach, the mountains, Paris and Venice. How it actually works. Dozens of cards, one vacation. Application, denied, rejected, application, other application, final approval. And that's true. I mean, to get to Europe last summer, I probably used the combined application from 5 to 7 cards, plus lots of points I had on hand from previously. I thought that was a pretty cool graphic. Way to go, Spaceco. He said I didn't even have to credit him, but I decided I would. Okay, Source King says, does 12 months grant me Cyclone status? Ooh. You know, if I ever have multiple membership tiers, I'm going to keep that in mind. Source King is a Cyclone level person, or would you rather have like the lower level is Mr. Roz, the higher level is Dr. Doog, something like that? Entry level is Kugalos. P&M Newbie says, some restaurants funnel all large orders through their catering division. Zizis wants to know, are you more of a stay at a resort type trip man or go out and explore? Go out and explore 9 times out of 10. Absolutely. AZ Fox, random question. Indiana or Miami on Monday night, sir? I'm torn. I kind of want a non-Big Ten, non-SEC team to win, so I should be rooting for Miami in the ACC. But realistically, it's not like they're not a big dog. I mean, they've been a historically great program. So in the sense of I want someone new to win, I'd rather root for Indiana. So I'm just going to watch the game and see how my spirits lead me. Ian says, I checked my mail before leaving for hot dogs at Costco. Had my $1,200 2% rebate check in the mailbox. Hot dogs are free today. Whoa. Do you have a Costco card? Is that what that's from? Sourcing says the lower level has to be Hawkeye level. No. I don't know if I want there to be any Hawkeye level. Maybe it could be a Drake Bulldog level or something like that. Next data point. Again, just comments that I like. This was on someone else's video. Someone named They Hate Me said, nice video. And the person in the video said they didn't really like rotating category cards. Are rotating category cards truly that much more work compared to the work required for coupon book cards? That's a good point. A lot of people don't like rotating category cards because they're too much work, but I'm willing to get an Amex Platinum and have this FHR, my Saks Fifth Avenue credit. Ooh, I got to get my Dunkin' Donuts credit. 16 different credits when all you have to do is remember it's restaurant. Use it at a restaurant. It's grocery store. Go to the grocery store and buy a Taco Bell gift card. I'm not sure who I'm imitating there. But yeah, I don't think rotating cards are that big of a deal. This is just a public service announcement reminder. I mentioned this 3 or 4 weeks ago. There's an easy $250 checking bonus with Capital One 360. I still haven't done this for my wife yet, so this is just as much for me as it is for all of y'all. All you have to do is open the account and make 20 qualifying transactions of $10 or more. So just go use your debit card 20 times, $10, and you get $250. That's more than 100% return on spend if you are thinking how much you put on it. So don't think like, oh, I don't want to put it on a debit card. Such easy money. I need to do that. MR says, Cyclone status, that's quite the twist. I see what you did there, MR. All right, let's keep going with data points here. So much awkward silence, I can hear the clock ticking. Hat tip frequent miler. They let us know that the Bilt 2.0 transition was not seamless for all card holders. So those who already had Bilt, which you could call their 1.0, but you could also call it their 2.0 because weren't they with some other issuer before Wells Fargo? Didn't get approved for Bilt with cardless, or they got a lower credit limit. Here's a comment from some random person named Sam who said this. I did not have the Bilt card previously, but I was denied for not enough balance paid down over time on real estate secured loans. I was floored. I bought my house just over a year ago, and in that time I've opened 3 new credit cards. I called the reconsideration line. They told me they couldn't discuss anything about the decision for privacy reasons. That's not true. All I could do was retry in 45 days. I'm dumbfounded. I can't get the one card that earns points on mortgages because I have a mortgage, I guess. Cardless is aptly named because they've left me cardless. On the bright side, I guess. At least I don't have to spend hours planning out my Bilt strategy now. So kind of 2 different things. Some people are supposed to automatically move over and are not getting approved. Other people are applying and not getting approved for what seems like dumb reasons. And I thought that was a really dumb reason. Got to blow my nose. Where were we? How about some comments? We talked about that. We already talked about that. Okay, nope, no comments to catch up on. Franklin Mile also pointed out a success story on Capital One shopping cashback on a hotel booking 10 months later. It'd help if I showed it. There we go. This is written by Nick Reyes. So what he said is he used Capital One shopping, booked a hotel where you paid in advance but didn't take the trip for 10 months, and the Capital One points, like in the Capital One shopping portal, said like ineligible for 10 months. Then once he actually took the trip, about 4 weeks later, it changed over to awarding him the points. So, some people have complained about Capital One shopping not always posting correctly or being a crapshoot, but at least in his case, it worked, even though it took 10 months. Yuri and others talked about this earlier in the live stream, but just a reminder, there are negative Venture X and Venture X Business Lounge access changes coming, and it kicks in on February 1st. So you've got 2 weeks exactly to use it for the last time. After that, if you have authorized users, you either have to pay $125 for them to have unlimited Priority Pass and Venture Lounge access, or B, I think you can pay $45 per person for guests, but only the primary card holder gets in free moving forward. So when I go on this Vacasa trip, I had an idea. I was like, we're going to fly back like the last few days of January. I'm like, oh, it's my last chance to go through the Dallas airport and use the Venture X Lounge there. And I'll bring my wife in, even though she could, because she's an authorized user on my Venture X. It'll be the last day. Let's be like, hey, I used this on the last day or second to last day. Then I remembered, oh, wait, we're flying into Houston, not Dallas. So that doesn't work. Anybody got any lounge recommendations in Dallas or in Houston for cards that I actually have? I have Priority Pass, Capital One, and Chase. A tier 50 says, I just checked my Upside app for Taco Bell. It's 32%. Whoa, I don't think I've ever seen it that high. I've seen like 27. MR says Bilt. By the way, I don't think we've met A tier. Good to meet you. MR says Bilt is the first company in recent memory to launch 3 cards at once. Does anybody actually expect it to go smoothly? Good point. QC Man says, I agree with you that category cards aren't that hard. It's usually every 3 months or monthly with the custom cash and no annual fee. If it's a bad category quarter, just don't use it. It gets sucked toward. Yeah, like dining I'm using for dining. Gas station and grocery stores, there'll be a lot of strategery. But if it's like some quarter, the only bonus categories are Amtrak and theaters, I just won't use it that quarter. This one is hat tip to upgraded points. You can redeem choice privileges points for VIP racing experiences starting at 5,000 points. Now, if Key from Kiki Adventures was on board, she could probably tell us more about this. I'm not into automobile racing, but I think that looks like a good value. Now, some of them were like 50,000 points. It's like you get to go early. You get to like have a meet and greet with the pit crew and a couple different drivers. And then you also get to go to a dinner. The dinner is separate from meeting the crew, is my understanding. But in at least one case, you could also bid on having a dinner with Ross Chastain, who apparently A, loves watermelons, and B, is the sponsored driver for choice privileges. And that one's only at 5,000 points. So I could see, like, if you're into auto racing, you know, bid 5, 6, 10,000 points to have dinner with a racer. That'd be kind of fun. That's pretty good use of points. You can transfer from Wells Fargo over to Choice Hotels or from City over to Choice Hotels 1 to 2. So you're only using 2,500 credit card points to make the minimum bid. All right. Also, from upgraded points, Hilton launches Apartment Style Collection by Hilton, a new apartment style lodging brand. Because I was thinking to myself, you know, there just aren't enough Hilton brands. We need some more. So they're going to have an apartment collection coming soon. It pretty much is what it sounds like. It says it'll be eligible for redemptions and you'll earn points. Basically, you get a fully furnished apartment somewhere. When it launches, I think second quarter of this year, it will only be in 4 American cities. I think it was New York City, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, and I don't remember the 4th one. This is something I would use. Like when we went to Washington, D.C., it might be cool to have an apartment downtown. Obviously, you're not going to get free breakfast because there is no breakfast. It's sort of like the urban equivalent of their camping-inspired division. What's that one called? Camping with Hilton? Something like that? I might check that out. Of course, the proof is in the pudding in terms of how things work out related to the points usability. Frequent Miler let us know that Avios cards, which is British Airways, Iberia, and Aer Lingus, have increased 90K welcome offers. And these are, my head's kind of in the way here. These are 90,000 Avios after 5K in spend, which is 15 more than the current affiliate offer. I looked at all 3 cards. Their earning structures are exactly the same, and they're trash. It's like 3 points per dollar on the proprietary airway, 2 points per dollar on hotels booked directly with the hotel, and 1x and everything else. So these are not keeper cards, but that's a decent offer for 5K spend, 90K, if you know you're going to use it. And as Matt Clausen says, an Avios is an Avios, so you should be able to mix them around. I would love to fly to Ireland, go to Northern Ireland, and see maybe Lisa Dawson singing in person someday. So tucking that away. And I'm guessing now that Chase has sort of moved away from what we thought of as 524, co-branded cards are easier to get even if you're over 524, although that is just a guess. QC Man says, if you still have U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve Party Pass trips, there are 2 restaurants in Houston's airport, Doug. Yes. Yes. If they let me, I'll use that on the way arrival and the departure, both. That's a great tip. Thank you, QC Man. I do have them. Is that by calendar year or card member year? It doesn't matter either way because we only used 4 of them, so I should have at least 4 left. Thank you. That's a good tip. And then Frequent Milers also letting us know that on World of Hyatt, there's an increased welcome offer of 5 category 1 to 4 free night certs. If you were going to be doing a road trip or something like that with lots of Hyatt stays that you could use, this would be great. And they said something like this: after sitting in the doldrums of mediocrity for months, there's an increased welcome offer for the World of Hyatt card. You get 3 1 to 4 certs after spending $5K, plus 2 more after spending a total of $15K within 6 months. If you complete the second tier or tranche, you'll actually end up with 6 certificates, since the card automatically earns one after $15,000 in annual spend. So yeah, functionally that's 6 earned. The welcome offer accounts for 5, and I'm glad they didn't deceive us like IHG has done on how much you're actually earning. So that might be worth going for. Now, right now, I need free night certs about as bad as I need a hole in the head. I've got 3 with Marriott. I've got 2 with IHG, and then 2 that are kind of, they're with Hilton because my dad earned them. My dad lives in a nursing home, so he's not going anywhere. And sometimes it's kind of hard to use those FNCs for other people because you have to have like the member call. So I don't know if those are going to get used or not. But yeah, I've got at least 5 free night certificates, possibly 7. I don't really want to add 6 more and get that up to 13. But if you were looking for it, if you knew you had a specific use, that could be a really good offer. QC Man's pretty sure it's a card member year. Yuri says it's a PP year. I assume that means when your priority pass renews. So yeah, that makes sense because they renew at different times throughout the year on different cards. Zach Kinsey Music says Houston Party Pass, KLM, and Air France never let you go in, but sometimes will scan your pass and give you a to-go bag. So I assume then what you're saying is you Priority Pass lists a lounge in the Houston airport that is operated by KLM/Air France, but they're always so busy that they say, sorry, priority goes to people flying on our own airlines. They won't let you in, but here's a bag with a donut and a French pastry and a Dutch letter. JP Knowledge showed up. Is this a Bilt Live or are there other topics? Other topics. We did briefly discuss Bilt after saying I wasn't going to talk Bilt. They twisted my arm, JP. They made me discuss it. All right. I think that's actually the end of the combined data points and theme of the day. So thanks for enjoying the kitchen sink episode where we just talked about a little bit of everything. Now we'll go to our community tab here. So every Friday, usually around 5 p.m., 7 p.m., I will post a community tab that shows a couple different things. It shows a picture and says you can guess where the picture taken, and you can also ask me anything. Here's the picture from the community post that I put up last night, and there's actually 2. There's this picture of some guy standing next to a lake, and then there's a picture of some pretty foliage. So you're supposed to guess where that was taken. I will now open up my phone, and we'll go over this together. I have terrible posture this morning. Am I wearing that same shirt again? Yep, I swear, guys, I do launder them regularly. All right, so pulling that up right now. Where were we? Okay. The first comment is from Scott S., and he asked this: have you considered going all in on Aeroplan/Chase for daily spend? How would it compare to your city plan? I ran my numbers, and it was surprisingly close. So what Scott is referencing is last summer and last fall, I declared that I'm a city guy from now on for everyday spend. Several videos called The Path Method. Look them up. They're pretty terrific. Checking the tip jar. No new tips. I haven't run the numbers, but one thing I think to myself is if I'm going to be enhancing my Hyatt stays, it might make more sense to lean into Chase more, because then I could either move it to Hyatt or I can move to Aeroplan, do my boom 1.68 trick. I haven't actually run the numbers yet, I'll be honest with you, but I bet it would be close. I'm not giving up on Chase quite yet. In fact, I wanted to make a video someday of like Chase 1.5 on the Freedom compared to 2x on the Double Cash or other things like that. People often bash Chase for the 1.5 on the Freedom Unlimited, but Hyatt. So yeah, I'll get to that, Scott. That is a worthy consideration. I just haven't done it yet. As for where the picture is taken, Bob Travels made this epic guess. You are in the upper peninsula of the Great Lakes state of Michigan in Copper Harbor, hiking along the coast of Lake Superior. You're about to reward yourself with your favorite regional treat, a meat pasty. So I answered this with two things. While one, my wife and I have been to Copper Harbor and ate at the Harbor House restaurant. That was on our honeymoon almost 25 years ago. There's this restaurant that looks right out on the harbor. It's still in business. If you ever go to Copper Harbor, Michigan, in the Keweenaw Peninsula, upper peninsula of Michigan, sticks out on the thumb, right on the tip of the thumb. That's where it is. Go to the Harbor House. It was good. Two, I have eaten a pasty on the same trip, but that's not where this picture was taken. And it is pronounced pasty. On my honeymoon, I said pasty, and they all laughed at me. That's something a stripper wears. Like, well, I don't know. I'm naive. I went to Bible college. Richard B. Travel asked this question. If you chose to focus on earning free night certificates, status, companion pass this year, in what programs would you do it? For example, I'm focusing on 1X Surpass for $15K. That'd be Hilton. Hyatt status and Hyatt card spending to get to 40 nights, which comes to the guest of honor and suite upgrade, maybe an American Airlines companion pass. With your blessing implied or otherwise, because you're not maybe on here, Richard, I'm going to actually change your question slightly. When I first read it, I thought you said if you chose to focus on one of these, which would you pick? Earning free night certificates, status, or companion passes, which would you pick? And then I'll go into which program I would do it in also. So I'm not answering your question exactly, Richard, because I'm not the kind of guy who's going to focus on all three of those things. So what's my opinion worth? Jack Diddley. In the words of Matt Foley, Jack Squat. If I were to focus on free night certificate, status, or companion pass, which would it be? It would not be companion pass, because the airlines that offer companion pass, they're kind of restrictive, and it's only good if you're flying with a companion a lot. And while I love my wife dearly, her schedule as a teacher is so rigid that there's not a whole lot of companion flying going on. So I'm mostly doing solo travel, except for maybe one big family trip per year. Now, I might be flying with my boys and that kind of stuff. Not sure why I'm holding a light bulb, because it's on the desk. I need to replace it in my closet. So what would I do? Well, I would rule out companion pass, so free night certificate or status. Don't love free night certificates either. Status, I just don't think I'm going to get enough status to make it worthwhile. Well, yeah, I would say in a hypothetical world, like if I start road tripping more, bringing my work computer with me, I would go for Hyatt status and try to craft my trip around category 1 and 2 Hyatt. So I would go for status with Hyatt. That's what I would do if I had to pick one of those. And I would earn some FNCs along the way and some milestone rewards. And I could get, even if I didn't get globalist, at least get up to the point where you have, what do they call it? Guest of honor. I think you have to get 40 nights to get guest of honor. Then you can gift it to yourself for a big trip. So maybe I would do like staying in a lot of Hyatt places, Hyatt houses where guest of honor is useless. And then I would go to like a Hyatt Centro or some Hyatt Regency or some better Hyatt with the family in the summer and apply my guest of honor or something like that. By the way, I'm going to be wanting to do a guest of honor for when I go to Charleston in the fall. So if anybody's looking to sell one cheaply, let me know. Catching up on comments here. Yuri visited the Air France KLM Party Pass Lounge in Houston. They are not good. Okay, well, then I'll get a goodie bag. Ben Bradshaw says those Hyatt free night certs with a sign-up bonus would expire after 1 year, correct? That is correct. Rex Blind also noticed, same shirt. Zach Kinsey says the Party Pass Cadillac Grill restaurant is a pretty decent Mexican restaurant in Houston. Good to know. I like Americanized Mexican. Ziza says, as of now, what are your plans to use the 3 free night awards from your Marriott Boundless card? I'm just thinking out loud here. This may not be right. So my spring rip trip is going to be a glorious return to Wheeling, West Virginia. And if you go down the Ohio River from Wheeling about 2 hours, you'll get to Marietta, which is a town on the Ohio side of the river, which is a historic town. I read a book called The Pioneers, all about the founding of the town of Marietta, because it was the first like major towns settled in the Ohio Territory. So like I want to go to the graveyard and see the graves of those people and the mound and the fort and that kind of stuff. So I got 2 nights in Wheeling proper at the best Hampton Inn in America, using the City Strata Elite benefit before the end of the year. So that was last year's benefit. One night at a Holiday Inn Express using one of my free night certificates. It might just be a Holiday Inn. Using a holiday, one night with IHG using my IHG free night certificate in a town that's halfway between Wheeling and Marietta. And then I'll need to pick up at least one more night. I think that's where my Marriott free night award is. I'll go back to Pittsburgh and fly to the Pittsburgh airport. So I'll probably return to Pittsburgh. If anybody has a suggested Marriott affiliated property near the Pittsburgh airport, let me know. Now that still leaves 2. I don't even know what we're doing for family vacation this summer. I keep asking my family and they're going back and forth. So I'm going to have to just pick something and roll with it eventually. But maybe some airport hotels. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah. Still working on that. I'd like to use it for better value than a, Fairfield Inn, but you have what you have. Yuri says City has I prefer. They sure do. Source King says, any chance the Chase Sapphire approval update, you can get a sign-up bonus on Sapphire card you're not holding, meaning leniency on 524. I would really appreciate that. I just watched Matt Clausen's video about that at like 6:45 this morning, going on 7 o'clock. My understanding is like if you've never had the CSR sign-up bonus, but you have had CSP, you can still get it, and vice versa. What happens if you got the CSP sign-up bonus, product changed it to a CSR? Can I then downgrade my CSR to something else and apply for a brand new CSR? If I find out, I'll be sure to let y'all know, Source King. Yuri says, I like Corona Beach House Restaurant at MIA. Great. I don't think I'll be in MIA sometime soon, but if I go hang out with Juan, I'll let you know. Okay, back to the community tab. So Jacob from Jacob's Travel and Points says, no Bilt content. It's so easy to understand. I'm sure you can build a whole slideshow about it in 5 to 10 minutes. Your data points are always great, so it'll be a good show no matter what. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Jacob. There was only one person that correctly guessed the location of this photo, and it was Herr Muntz. Mr. Muntz guessed Sakata Lake State Park in Minnesota. I'm going to try to get up for the live. Wave if you're on board, Mr. Muntz. So yes, ding, ding, ding. 1,000 Dugroz points to you, Mr. Muntz. This is Sakata Lake State Park. When I did my Wyndham mattress run / fall miniature rip trip to northern Iowa and southern Minnesota, I stopped by Sakata Lake State Park, and that's where this picture was taken. Here's some other pictures. You guys know how much I love fall foliage, which I could really use some right now, given that we're in the bleak midwinter. Look at all those yellows and greens and golds mixed together. And there's some guy looking out over them, and here's a up-close picture of some foliage. Here's a video I'm going to try to show you that I think will work. Bear with me. I have to switch screen. This is a video I took myself. I have to stop and reshare. There may or may not be any audio here. Bear with me if there's not. You'll still get the idea even if there's not. So this is a video I made. I rented a Toyota Prius, and I kind of regretted that because since it didn't involve any flying, I just went to like my local enterprise, like on, 47th Avenue or something. And they're like, well, hey, you bought a mid-size car or a compact car. We've got 3 different options. Toyota Prius. I'm like, oh yeah, I've heard those Toyota Priuses have good mileage. I'll take one of those. So I want to save on gas. Big mistake. Should have taken something else. All right, here's the video. There you go. So that's how you enter a Toyota Prius. Super convenient for a 45, 46-year-old dude who's not the most petite in the world. Ugh, bad choice. Don't get that. Get at least a full-size car if you're like me. All right. David Williams says it's 12 degrees in Des Moines right now. All right. Thanks for the update. Hey, we're reaching the end of the episode, so let's go ahead and wrap things up here. I will go ahead and go back through and list everyone who either gave a tip to the tip jar link in the description box, but you can do anytime if you're watching after the fact, or people who made other donations. Juan from the MIA gave $3 in the tip jar. Thank you, Juan. John gave $2. Mike gifted 20 Dugroz Reports memberships, just as good as $60. Kevin P gave a $5 super chat. Andy gave a $1.99 super chat. Tom Graber gifted 1 membership, just as good as $3. Gentleman Explorer gifted 5 memberships, just as good as $15. K-Man2324 gave $5. Mike Newland gave a $1.49 super sticker. Ian gave a $1.99 super sticker. QC Man celebrated 22 months of membership. Nuracan gave a $2.99 super sticker. QC Man gave a $1.99 super sticker. George Rommel gave a $1.99 super sticker. I don't remember if I caught that the first time. George, if you're still watching and I missed it, I'm so sorry. Celebrate. Thank you, George. I really appreciate that. LN gave a $2 super chat, an extra 51 cents over the normal level. Rex Blind gave a $9.99 super chat. Then he turned around and gave another $9.99 super chat, and I really appreciate both of those. Filmo celebrated 26 months of membership. Bryjack Max says, nice go-kart. Yeah. Kevin Wynn wants to know, how tall are you? I'm 5'11" with shoes on. Cesar, mi hermano is here. So sorry I'm late. That's okay. Glad you are here. Better late than never. Hey, Cesar, what do you think of the Bilt travel portal for hotels? Is it fairly priced? Good afternoon, everyone. But Rex Blind reminds us that I'm like 6'5", slight exaggeration. Kevin Wynn says, hopping in to say hi. Cesar clarifies, I'm actually 7'6". Yes, I'm only slightly shorter than Spencer Johnson himself. All right, so that's everything. I guess we're just about ready to wrap it up. Kevin Wynn says, not for me. I assume you mean the Toyota Prius. Thank you to everyone who watched. Thank you to everyone who contributed. Thank you for getting us over 100 people concurrently. And if you can, on the way out the door, smash the thumbs up button. That'll drive the algorithm. If you're watching this after the fact, go ahead and make a comment of the dumbest thing anyone's ever said to you at a bank, fast food place, gas station, about something of a financial nature. And that'll help support the channel as well. And as always, may your spending be frugal and may your points be plenteous. Thanks.